agents. We are positive change paradigm shifters. And I'm honored to be here, and I wanted to honor all of us that are on here. Thank you, Judy.
Aw, so nice to know the West Coast has our backs.
We're in it together.
All right, well, who else is over there from the West Coast?
Me. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ann. Nice to meet you.
Oh.
Good morning, Susan and Bill and Judy. I'm grateful to be here. It's a beautiful day. It's been cooling off, and I like the cooler weather a little bit better than the heat. So I'm grateful to be here.
California in the house. We're gonna go, if you don't mind, Ann, we're gonna go over to the East Coast, real close to Washington, D.C. Whoa, they need our love today.
A lot of love out there today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on in, Sue, from Virginia.
I'm in Leesburg, Virginia at the moment. I'm really thankful to be here. Some days my days get too busy, and I'm really thankful that I have free time to be here to support and to get blessed. So thank you for being here.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and I'm going to do a long introduction for you, Ann, so hang on there.
I'll hang on.
Yeah. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're recording now to Paradigm Shifters. Let's take a deep breath in here. Yeah, deep breath into November 2nd, 2020. And in the United States, it is election day. And we are holding love. We are holding hope. We are holding respect and commitment and all this positive energy in this one day, this beautiful day. So Paradigm Shifters, yes, we are, as of right before this, at 365 members. Woo! From all over the world. This is a global shift. There are now 9 countries represented and all over the United States. So with that, we are a powerful group of change agents, people who are making a difference in their worlds, coming from an inspired, centered heartness. So yes, and of course this is Transformation Tuesday, right? And which means I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna pin Ann, pin you.
I've been pinned.
You are pinned. Okay. And so it's Transformation Tuesday, which means, drum roll, we have a guest speaker. And today's speaker is Prinz, who is a buddy of mine. And hang on a second. I'm going to read this. And I know one thing that I do know about Ann is she has such a beautiful way of telling stories. And one thing I know is that transformation happens with our stories. Ann studied at the Kansas State University, right?
Correct.
And is the author of she's a life mastery consultant at Exclamation Point Living, which that is also the title of her book, Living the Exclamation. Can you remind me?
Living your exclamation point life.
Yes.
Yeah.
She lives currently in Washington, Missouri, which for those of you who don't know, it's right in the middle of our country. And she's from Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas. So Ann's joining us today to talk about, take a deep breath in here, you guys, transformational willingness.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the author of the book, Living Your Exclamation Point Life, is a national speaker, consultant, and transformational coach. She spent the last 25 years helping individuals overcome the challenges in their life. Now, I love this, first within the chiropractic community. Yeah, where you are helping individuals achieve their health goals.
Yeah.
And then as a transformational life coach.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
All right. So guess what else Ann is? She's also, drum roll, a musician.
Yeah.
And she plays a German folk instrument called a zither. So the next time you're doing Scrabble and you need a Z word, it's zither.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also the cool thing about Anne is she hosts international zither gatherings across the world for zither enthusiasts.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I love to hear that. Now, she comes to us today from her new home in Washington, Missouri. So with that, Anne, welcome. And we're so grateful to hear. And first of all, we would love to hear a little bit about where you are right now, any stories you want to tell, transformational willingness, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. How's that?
That sounds great. And thank you, Judy. And nice to be with all of you. So it's great to be here. I want to share a story because I am a storyteller. And it was a really cold day, and it was early March a couple years ago. And I was sitting in an exam room with severe nerve pain running down both arms and into my hands. And I was waiting for the results of my X-ray films. My new chiropractic intern came into the room with the head doctor to show me the films. And he said, Anne, in comparing your new films with your last films, you are showing signs of significant degeneration in your spine. I just gasped. Since he was new to my case, he had no idea what that meant to me. And I said to him, my last set of X-ray films was just 6 months ago. What you're really saying to me is that I have rapid degeneration in my spine. And with that, the head doctor just jumped in just to try to calm down the situation. And she then said to me, Anne, I recommend you get a baseline MRI so that you have that for your future. What? I could read between the lines, and all these thought waves just started running through my head. I mean, how can this be? I have spent the last 23 years of my life working in chiropractic. I've had the finest care. I am the one who helps people navigate their health crisis. I'm not supposed to be the one in one. And then my mind shifted to the what ifs. You know those what ifs. And for me, that list included, what if I can't play my musical zither anymore? What if I can no longer create beautiful things? What if I could no longer spend time working in my garden? What if the pain becomes so severe, I end up in a wheelchair? With my extensive training that I'd had and years of applying that knowledge, I was able to actually pause my mind and stop it from going down that unhealthy road. And in that silence, I heard, are you willing to be transformed? I knew that voice. That's my trusted companion in life. And my answer was yes. Each of us have circumstances, situations, and conditions which happen in our lives that leave us at that crossroad between what we've known and what's waiting to emerge through us. And these situations actually come to us as a gift. And we all have a choice. Are you willing to be transformed? For the first time in most of all of our lives here, we're getting to witness and participate in a global circumstance. We are living in the time of a pandemic. Though all of us are part of this, and we overlap with some of the same experiences, the lessons that it has come to teach each of us is uniquely our own. Sometimes the journey is difficult You feel wobbly, and it can be outright messy. And yet, it can be time of incredible discovery, joy, and delight as you learn who you really are. So over our next 25 minutes together, as we talk about transformational willingness, I want to teach you 3 steps that I learned through my years in the chiropractic profession. And when implemented correctly, they really do transform your life. It starts with facing it, erasing it, and then replacing it. So I just kind of want to step in here just a little bit to the facing it. And I figured I might as well talk about the pandemic, since I know, Judy, the group is global here, right? And we'll talk about something that all of us are facing. And so I just kind of want to ask you, so how many of you have been like facing brain fog during this time? Yeah. Okay, right? Okay, a few of you have been facing that, right? How about maybe having trouble sleeping at night? Right? Okay. And have you noticed that it seems to take up to like 5 times as long to get things done? You used to get done much faster. Yeah, right? Okay, so all of us are going through this transition here. And this is our opportunity to face all those things that are showing up in this pandemic. And it's showing us that we're actually being transformed because we're going through things that are unusual to us. I think of it as a pattern interrupt. We're no longer doing things the same way that we've always done them before. And now it's interrupted. I don't know about you, but I like forever took a shower in the morning. And now I'm like finding myself taking a shower at night. I mean, how did that happen, right? So we're interrupting all of these patterns that we've been having in our life. So this first step of facing it is to notice what you're noticing, right? Notice that you're having the feeling, right? Notice that things aren't the way they've always been, okay? And be willing to sit in that unsteadiness of that. Be willing to look at it. Now, very early on in the pandemic, I was talking to a dear old friend of mine, and we were talking about things. And one of the things is that we noticed, how much we're missing the closeness to our friends, our family, all of that. But we also were noticing what we weren't missing so much, okay? Again, a pattern interrupt has happened with us with this pandemic, right? And so as this pattern interrupt, it's that opportunity to notice what doesn't feel life-giving anymore, okay? And so it's really important for us to take this time to notice what we're noticing and not judge it. I could look at my health situation that I had been given and say, oh my gosh, that's really bad. And it's like, no, it just is. It's my perception of that has changed that. Now we can say it's content that we would not prefer. I mean, most of us would not prefer to be in the middle of a pandemic right now. That wouldn't be our preference. But at the same time, there are a lot of gifts waiting here if you're willing to look, open your eyes, and explore them. So notice what you're noticing. Another step in this is to erase it, right? And this is really about letting go of what no longer serves you. And this really includes all your old beliefs. For me in my health journey, I had to let go of my belief that this was bad and somehow there was this negative road. Instead, I took that opportunity as I'm erasing the old beliefs surrounding it. I knew when that happened that if I was gonna have a different result, I was gonna have to do something in a different way than I had ever done before. that meant I was going to have to step out of my comfort zone of what I had known and be willing to embrace new things that were showing up on my door. So by facing it, I was opening the door to possibilities I had never even considered before. And then as I noticed things that were no longer serving me, and that can be old beliefs, ideas, things, activities, and sometimes people in our lives, right? As I start erasing those things and being willing to, that's that transformational willingness, right? Be willing to transform those things into something else. Then I step into replacing it. And to replace it, it starts with, what would I love to do, be, have, or create here instead? And then we take an action on that. So I'm going to share some things in my journey with my health here, just to give you a glimpse of the process that's been through. That's been 2 years of a process. And I just want to, I'll tell you right up front, I feel great. I'm in the best shape of my life ever. So my facing it, that was such a reflection at me when the doctors were letting me know that, hey, your life's going down the tube really fast, okay? And that if I continued on that road, things were not going to be looking good for me. So I shifted into okay, I've got stuff that's in between me and what I would want. I stepped into what is it that I would love to create with my health. And I really focused on that. What is it that I would love to create here instead in regards to my health? Well, I'm not going to tell you everything in the journey, but what I can say is that the very first thing that opened up was, I haven't tried nutrition for my health. So I went to a new nutrition store that I'd never been to, but I'd heard lots of good things about, and I talked to the woman there, hey, do you have some nutrition that could help me? And in the process of that, somebody who worked with her in the back room overheard the conversation, and she goes, I work with this massage therapist that's really great. She does trigger point work. And I'm like, well, that was something new to me, right? And I said, okay. Well, that started the ball rolling in a different direction. I then ended up having a new student working with me at the chiropractic clinic. And he said, you know what, Ann? I know that, this technique that you've been using for years and years has worked really well for you, but I think you need something else. I had to be willing to say yes to transformational willingness, to something new, to step in, even though I was scared, I was uncertain. What I had in the past had worked so well for me, and it had already pulled me out of health things in the past. I had to be willing to say yes to something new. And between those things, that started transforming me. In the process of all this, I decided to move to Washington, Missouri. It's the home of Schwarzer zithers. They used to be manufactured here. And I started helping people learn how to play the zither, and I fell absolutely in love with the community, and it was a match for me with who the people are here. And so in that process, I found a house that was going to have to be refurbished. I got a construction loan, was going to have a contractor work on the house, and I was 2 weeks before moving. And this is where things get messy. Okay. 2 weeks before moving, I was supposed to have closing dates on top of each other. I came down to Washington. They told me you can't close on your house here for 3 more weeks. And my realtor said, Ann, I'm sorry, but I hate to tell you this, but I've just made you homeless.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so what you're saying is like just a back up the sentence, it's like the messiness.
Oh, messy.
Right. It seems like to welcome the messiness. So yeah.
Correct. Welcome it.
You didn't
know. And that's the facing
it.
of it, right?
Yeah, keep going.
The facing of it. It's the facing of that. Mm-hmm. So he said that to me, and I looked at him and I said, no, you just made me home free. Okay, we have a choice of what we're going to believe about the circumstance, right? Meanwhile, I still have this vision of health that's working, right? And I don't see all the steps. That's the thing. When we are in this, we are not going to see all the steps. We're only going to see the step we have in front of us.
Mhm.
It's 2 weeks ahead. I have a very different move on my hands. I'm up all night long. It's like 3 in the morning. And I thought, who can I contact at 3 in the morning? So I texted a friend of mine in Germany because I knew he'd be up. And I said, I have no place to live for 3 weeks. I'm trying to figure this out. I got a whole different move. And he just said, you don't even think twice about it. You come to Germany, we have a place for you and we will feed you.
All right.
So I left the country, right? I left the country for those 3 weeks. And that was perfect. It's exactly what I needed. But something happened in that time. And he said to me, did you bring your workout clothes? And I said, my what? And he said, your workout clothes. I said, no. He said, then we're going to the store and you're buying some. So we went to the store. I bought workout clothes. He took me to the gym. He said, Anne, I know you've been having a lot of trouble with your spine. He goes, I have had trouble with my upper back from playing zither so much. And he said, let me show you what I've learned how to do to help strengthen my back. So for the 3 weeks I was there, he taught me his routines of working out in the gym.
Yeah.
Again, it was something new. It was something uncomfortable to me. I was sore. And yet I was like, this could be what helps me. I started feeling much stronger in my body. I come back, I join a gym here and was working out 3 times a week. Well, then in the middle of this time period, I was living in an Airbnb down here.
Wow.
And I was only supposed to be there 1 to 2 months because the contractor was supposed to do my place. And again, messy. Contractor backed out. I'm like, what? And the first reaction is, this is really bad. But I faced it, and then I erased any debris, any negative thoughts around it. I then replace it with my vision of what would I love to have here instead. And I created a vision of who are the people that help me and support me in my house. What I didn't know is that I would end up being one of the people really working on this house, very physical work. And since that time frame, what I can say from that experience is I have no issues with my spine anymore. I am completely strong and in my body. Now, I could not have seen that path. I could not have seen the journey that would take me on, the struggle, the challenge, the, oh my gosh. But every time a situation comes up, we have the chance to face it head on and go, okay, I got a feeling about that. So notice when you have a feeling about it, that you have that constriction, that angst, that anger, that whatever. Notice that feeling and then pause it. And that's when we get to ask, are you willing to transform this? Or are you wanting to stay in this story, right?
So you say there's the pause there.
There is.
Pause in, because we can just keep going on.
We can.
A lot of people are just, that's okay.
Right.
And there's this thing called courage,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
this thing called hanging out with people we know. Sometimes they're absolutely crazy people,
Right.
but you see that their life is changing and they're happy. It's like, do I have the courage? I'm just like you're talking about, I'm going to be leaving some of the people behind.
Yeah. And that can be really scary.
Yeah.
It can be really scary, but necessary if you really want to live the life that you want to be living, and transformation comes on all levels because, I had an incredible vision that I developed surrounding my health, and it started with necessity, right? and hadn't seen that coming down the road, you know, and yet the journey that it has led me on has been spectacular. And then to have COVID hit, I was having other situations happening up in around, you know, being here. And I, again, you know, recognized what I wasn't, missing. And it's like, oh, wow. And the pandemic's given us a time to pause, to go, you know what, I really don't miss that so much. Or, gosh, you know, I really wish I had more of that in my life. Right?
So what I'm going to ask you here,
Yeah.
is this, and just being watchful. There's people popping in right now that we're going to be doing is like, what are one or some of the paradigms that come up for you right now in today that are coming up to be repatterned? Because sometimes I have these speakers, I'm like, wait, what's coming up for you personally right now that we could relate to a pattern, or just what are your paradigms right now, if you don't mind?
Well, I know, you know, that's really a great question, Judy, because what I've taken this time to notice for myself is anytime I'm resisting something, I'm not allowing to have, allowing myself success in something.
Yeah.
Right. The things that I'm not allowing, the things that I'm trying to like keep under wraps. And because of this time, and for me, I'm single, I live at home, I don't have anyone else in my surrounds or in my house surrounds. And I have that chance to, you know, notice that I was creating a thing around receipts. I mean, that seems simple, right? And it's just like, and I'm looking and I'm like, Anne, you act like receipts, you don't have a thing, you have a thing around them because you try to act like they're not there. And then there's this stack that like starts piling up, right?
Receipt attack. Oh, I love that paradigm.
Right? It's a paradigm around receipts.
I think that's a new one. I'm going to write that one down. Anybody else? Receipt attack.
Well, I mean, but I'm like, I finally just had to say, Anne, notice that you have an issue around receipts. You know, what's the story that you're telling yourself? And part of it is that I never felt that I learned how to deal with receipts. Now, that doesn't mean, and actually I'm a highly organized person, so this is kind of interesting to have this. I'm really good with receipts that I need to have for taxes and all that. I am so, you know, organized, but it's all those other receipts that come in the door and they just pile up because I don't know what to do with them. And yet I'm not choosing to do anything with it. Okay. Right. So I had to notice it and then, you know, face it, erase it. And I'm like, and that is not acceptable any longer to be keeping that pattern, you know, because it's an unhealthy pattern to have this pile. And so I ended up, you know, diving into YouTube videos and all that. What's the best way to deal with receipts? I found a system that matched me. It's now been replaced.
There you go. Well,
right?
So to sum up, the three tools that were face it,
yeah,
erase it, and replace it.
Yeah.
Yes, great. I love it. Okay, so take a deep breath in here. Yeah, everybody here. You know, because if you ever, and one thing, like if you go at the end of the night, you go, well, yeah, I heard that really cool speaker. And you know, the thing that we want to take away, I think, is that three: face it, erase it, replace it. That's what I'm going to be taking away. So what I want to ask you, Anne, first of all, thank you so much for volunteering to do this. I know and that you're so prepared and everything, but we want to ask you, in this community of paradigm shifters, one thing that we do is we hold space for our speakers who are coming out and jumping in here and telling us their, you know, experience. So what would you love us as a community to hold for you? Oh, there's a little baby. Excuse me. I can't say anything.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Okay. What would you love? What would you love to have us hold for you?
yeah.
What
You
would
know,
you, anything at all on the menu?
Judy, for me personally, I would love there to you to hold for me to find clarity in my service. You know, in the service that I give to others, I've served on in so many different ways, you know, with the Zither community, with the chiropractic, with the coaching, to develop clarity on how to serve people really well, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I ask you to hold for me.
Okay, you guys, you know what we're gonna do, right? And so it is. Swoosh.
Oh, it is.
Feel it. All right. Well, hang on here. We're going to end the recording here, and then anybody, we're going to just chat around. But thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate you, and we behold your work in the world,
Thank you.
and whatever we can do to support you, please ask.
Yeah.
And until next week, Paradigm Shifters, we have another guest coming on next week. 19-year-old from a coffee shop in Wimberley. So until then, Anne, thank you so much.
You're
Dream
most welcome.
big, dream bold, accomplish brilliantly. Yeah.